Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're having an awesome morning or afternoon or evening or middle of the night or just whenever it is. Hope it's good. We all know that cologne fragrances by and large are cheap. That's the whole purpose, the whole point of cologne fragrances. But there are also tiers as far as price points go with colognes. And you have some colognes that are much more expensive than others. Today, we're in the shallow end of the pool, the cheap side of the cologne pool. And I've pulled from my collection some of what I think are the best cheap colognes that you can get right now. So we got a whole mess of them. Let's check them out. Guys, I'll have all of these linked in the description below. And also, I actually ordered like 28 new cologne fragrances that I do not have and have never smelled. So we'll see how they are. Some more cologne stuff coming. And if you do some shopping at some niche websites, such as LuckyScent.com, TwistedLily.com, MaxAroma.com, or So Avant-Garde, here's some codes for you. All right, let's jump into it. We'll start with this one. It is called Celestial, and it is from Amir, which is part of Paris Corner. And actually, the bottle is not quite as heavy as it looks. I mean, you would look at this and think, oh, that's gonna be really hefty. It's okay, but this is a clone of Ganymede, which is a niche fragrance that has gotten a whole bunch of hype. And it's a fragrance that I actually like a lot. And Ganymede is probably most well known for having this minerality to it, kind of like a slate sort of mineral note that combines with fresh leather as it dries down. And this pulls that off really well. So if you want Ganymede, but you don't want to pay Ganymede prices, this is going to be a fantastic alternative. As soon as you spray it on, you get that minerality right away, and you're going to recognize that Ganymede scent profile right away. It's a little bit of a twist in the sense that I think this one comes across a little bit more soapy, ever so slightly, than Ganymede does, and also has maybe a touch more of like a fruity sweetness off the top, but it's still extremely close to Ganymede and costs next to nothing. So Celestial kicking this off. After that, let's go with this one. It is from Latava. You can pick it up for under 20 bucks, usually right around $19, depending on exchange rates. It could be a little more or a little higher because this one I got from fragrancebuy.ca. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation here, so my bad there. It is a Qaed, Q-A-A-E-D. This one, for the price point, is a fantastic pickup. It smells a bit similar to something like Nuit DC Polaris from Issey Miyake, which that fragrance itself also is a fantastic buy. It's just usually that's out of stock and pretty difficult to find. So this is gonna get you close to that, only for way less. If you're familiar with Middle Eastern style fragrances, then this one is going to come across pretty familiar to you. It has that warm, kind of ambery, woody scent profile. So yeah, Nuit DC Polaris, maybe like a designer take on Overture Man from Amouage, but the Overture definitely packing much more of a punch and has more depth to it. So between those two, much closer to Polaris. But yeah, for 20 bucks, this is a great pickup. From there, let's talk about this one, Hardwood. Yeah, that name is fantastic. And this one is a clone of a discontinued Bath and Body Works fragrance. Now you hear that and you think to yourself, who cares, man? Bath and Body Works? But yeah, it's a clone of Mahogany Wood from Bath & Body Works, which, in case you weren't around back then, like an old man on a stoop yelling at clouds, back my day. That fragrance from Bath & Body Works was a big hit, and actually people in the fragrance community loved it. And Hardwood is ridiculously close. I compared them side by side, and I don't even know that anybody could tell the difference in the air. I mean, it is like spot on. And they obviously ripped off the presentation because the presentation looks the same too. So Hardwood, this one is awesome for what it does. After that one, let's talk about, yeah, you again, Ana Abiyed Rouge. This is Latava. This one you can find at some stores for about 15 bucks, other stores about 17, but still extremely inexpensive. It's a clone of Baccarat Rouge 540. And for sub $20, this, I think, is going to be the best BR540 clone that you can get. It really nails it. For the price point, it is crazy. So Anna Abiad Rouge, fantastic pickup for next to nothing. And there are other fragrances in the Anna Abiad line that are also extremely inexpensive that are good as well. So that entire line you should check out. From there, let's talk about an Armoff. We'll talk about this one, Radical Brown. So Radical Brown is a clone or a twist, an alternative of Bulgari's Man Black Orient. And that one unfortunately discontinued, very difficult to find. And a lot of people would say, myself included, that Black Orient is actually better than Bulgari Man in Black. So here is Bulgari Man Black Orient. Here is Radical Brown. This one you can find, I think, under $30, typically right around 28 or so. And that is gonna be so much cheaper than what you can find Black Orient for nowadays. So Radical Brown, even though this is not hyped or talked about as much as the big boy Armoff fragrances, this is great stuff. Let's do another Armoff really quickly. This one much more well-known, Armoff Hunter Intense. So this is going to be a clone and alternative of basically two fragrances. It's actually kind of a mix a little bit. So it's part Dior Sauvage and part Paco Rabanne Invictus. And depending on who you ask, some people will say Invictus Intense, other people will say normal Invictus, but if you want to just boil it down to its simplest facets, just think Dior Sauvage and Invictus. So essentially you're taking that, you know, brisk, fresh Sauvage opening, mixing it together with a little bit more of that bubblegum sweetness from Invictus. And what that gives you is a fragrance that has a great complement factor and versatility. And younger guys are gonna love this stuff, especially because, again, really inexpensive and has good performance as well. So Armoff Hunter Intense, this is one of the hype beasts from Armoff, and for good reason. We'll go from there to Latava with this one, Roms Silver. The bottle is ugly. I hate the way it looks. Like, I hate everything about it. I do always make fun of these random words on the front of the bottle. I think it's like very Englishy. You know, it's like when you go to a foreign country and they put English on like a sign or something because it looks cool in the other country. I mean to say it looks cool. But then as a native English speaker, you read it and you're just like, what does this even mean? But this is a clone of Ultramall from Jean Paul Gaultier. And this is really cheap. This is another one that's under 20 bucks. And when you consider the price point here, this for a lot of people is gonna end up being a better buy than Afnan's 9 p.m. So this one, if you want Ultramall, get that. This next one is often sold out. Keep that in mind. It's the Tux from Maison Alhambra. This is a clone of YSL's Tuxedo. It is the best YSL Tuxedo clone on the market right now. And when this is in stock at Fragrance Buy, it has been going for right around $28 US. At that price point, it is insane. It is a must buy if you want something close to Tuxedo, but you don't want to pay Tuxedo prices. And yes, at that price point, if you want a Tuxedo alternative, this is better than Moustache Eau de Parfum, though Moustache Eau de Parfum is great in its own right. Okay, next one is from Latava, and this is possibly the most expensive one here. I think this one a little bit over 30 bucks. Like everything else here is under 30. A lot of them are under 20, but this one is right around 30 or maybe slightly above. And I will butcher this one, I'm sure. Ishq Al Shuyuk Silver. So this is part of the Latava Pride line of fragrances. And as you can see, it has like a ceremonial dagger right here on the front. The cap is really snug, and mine loves to take the collar off and then I have to pop it out of the, it's so annoying. Just do a little bottle surgery, good to go. So this one is quite sweet and it reminds me of 1 Million Lucky from Paco Rabanne. So it's kind of in that style, in that wheelhouse, you could say, that kind of mixing of sweet and warm and fresh and aldehydic, you know, all put together. That one, more an under the radar clone, and it makes sense. I mean, when you look at that bottle, it doesn't really scream anything in particular. You know, that bottle doesn't look like any other one, so you can't tell right away, well, it's probably a clone of this. And it's also slightly pricier than, you know, all the other ones we're talking about. So not as many people are gonna throw that into their cart as just a blind buy on a whim, but it's very nice. And if you want a 1 million lucky alternative, check that out. Up next, Starman Nebula. This is a clone of Pure Malt from Terry Mugler, which is discontinued, quite difficult to find nowadays, and pricey compared to what it used to be. It is a very, very good clone of Pure Malt. And I said this when I reviewed this fragrance, but I want more of this. I want more clones of discontinued fragrances. That's what we need. We need good quality alternatives to fragrances of yesteryear that are just crazy hard to find nowadays. Really good alternative to Pure Malt and very inexpensive. Maison Alhambra up next, Toscano Leather. With this one, I want to say it's just the whole lineup. Maison Alhambra does alternatives to private blends, Tom Ford private blends, as you can obviously tell. And they are typically extremely well done, and they knock it off, man. Look at it. This is just as blatant as you can possibly get, and that goes to the box as well. But they are crazy good for the price. If you blindfolded somebody and they didn't know you were about to play a trick on them, and you had them just smell from the atomizer like this, they would say Tuscan Leather. For sure. Like I said, they've got a lot of really nice alternatives to other Tom Fords. They've got a bitter peach one, they've got an oud wood one, and a Rolly Portofino one. So check these out. Really cheap and really good. Then we got one from Latava, another one I'm gonna butcher, Qaed All for Song. So this one is another one of those sub $20 ones. Does have a magnetic cap. Cap looks like a Sauvage cap. Bottle is kind of like a Bleu de Chanel-ish shape, and then you just have your plaque right here on the front. This one is another one that's not really a one-to-one clone. It's kind of a mix. So this one is, to me, like part Aventus, part Baccarat Rouge 540, that sort of hybrid, which is a very popular hybrid. I mean, that's actually, I would say, the most popular niche fragrance hybrid that's out there on the market, because those are two of the best-selling niche fragrances ever. So of course, they don't put them together. So this is kind of like that. And for the price point, you really can't go wrong. Really easy to wear. People like it a lot. Nice pineapple in the opening, kind of a candied sweetness to it. And then that BR 540 saffron coming in there as well. After that, let's do another Armoff. Odyssey Ohm. So this is a sort of alternative clone of Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. At least as close as you're gonna get right now with the clone fragrance. It is really well done. The price point is there. It's not too expensive. And the presentation looks okay as well. Can't decide if that looks like a little grenade from Resident Evil 4, the original, or like a drinking kind of thermos. And it looks like this would come off and then, you know, flop down, right? But then no, that's just the whole cap. It's kind of weird. But that is an excellent alternative to Noir Extreme and super cheap. And we all know Tom Fords are not. Then we have Tabac from Maison Alhambra, a clone of Dior's Tabacaleur. It captures that sweetness, that warmth, that little bit of smoke from the Dior, and also kind of copies the presentation as well. So a fantastic tobacco scent in its own right, and also a great clone fragrance. The Maison Alhambra fragrances that are coming out now are so much better than the ones from, you know, a few years back. On a lot of websites that even carry Maison Alhambra, you can't find the old ones, and that is because a lot of them frankly suck. But if you dig into it, you can find a lot of those, and yeah, it's rough. Not all of them, of course, but a number of them are not so good. All right, the last one, we saved the biggest for last. Club de Nuit Intense Man from Armoff. And this is just the original Club de Nuit Intense Man, not the limited edition, because that one is a bit pricier. Just the original CD and IM. I mean, what can you say? This stuff sells like crazy. Seems like everybody and their mother has this in their collection. The opening of this one, of course, can be written off as being a bit harsh, kind of like a lemon cleaner kind of vibe to it. But as it dries down, this stuff becomes just a compliment magnet. People are drawn to it. The performance is great, lasts forever, projects huge, and it's very cheap. So Club de Nuit Intense Man, it is the most popular, best-selling Creed Aventus clone, and it's still really inexpensive, so gotta put that in here. There we go, 15 different clone fragrances, all of these very well done and very cheap. As I said, I ordered a metric butt ton of different clones that I've never smelled, and some from brands that I've never heard of. And if any of those are any good, I'll be letting you know. And if they're really terrible, I'll let you know that too. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you all later.